Good day, viewers. Welcome to this program called Port Gist and Event. On Port Gist and Event, it's going to be a weekly program where we'll tell you what happens in the ports, news around the ports of Federation, seaports, airports, and even land borders. Give you news, happenings, and events in the ports, and we can also tell you what is happening to personalities or celebrate personalities in and around the ports. On today's episode, we have two topical issues. The first one, we want to look and analyze the shipping company various charges and also analyze the terminal operator charges. We want to look at what is happening in the shipping company charges, compare it to what is happening around the globe, particularly the sub-region of West Africa. You all know that there are ports in Cotonou, Lomé, and what have you, and Nigeria happens to be a competitive market. I do enjoy you to stay on this program. For today's episode, it's full of news around our ports. Particularly, you get to know what is happening and how your cargoes are being charged, so that all the cargo bands that are meant for Nigeria, you look at it and compare it to what is happening to ports in Cotonou, ports in Lomé, and even West African and African, Central African, and also European ports. Welcome back. On our first topic today, we're going to analyze shipping company various charges. As we all know that shipping lines have shipping agents and shipping companies in Nigeria. Every shipping line that actually come to our waterways have a shipping company and a shipping agent in Nigeria here. And by virtue of our international standard, all shipping lines or shipping agents resident in Nigeria here have major role to play. The first of the role, as you all know, is to ensure that the manifest of cargoes on board are submitted to Nigerian Customs Service, whether discrete or manually, and they issue out original debit notes to the consignee. When I say consignee, the importers. After that, the shipping company ensures that cargoes are actually released to the original owner of the consignment. By virtue of the international standard, the shipping agents here are supposed to collect 2% of the freight charges, which is whatever that is charged as freight on a particular consignment or cargo. 2% of such charges is ought to be remitted to every shipping agent in Nigeria. And after that, what should be the normal thing is a kind of administrative charges, which is very, very minimal. But in Nigeria, that is not the case. After collection of the shipping company charges, that is 2% on all imports and 5% on all export, we realize that our various debit notes that is issued to Nigerian licensed customs agents and freight forwarders before a cargo is released is very, very spurious. Spurious in the sense that there are charges that cannot be defended, there are charges that ought to have been deleted, and there are charges that ought not to be collected by all these various shipping agents. And I do remember that this time last year, the Honorable Minister of Transport set up a committee to look into various shipping company and terminal operator charges, come up with a memorandum, submit it, and see how this issue can be addressed once and for all. Let me take you around so that you understand what I'm saying. Every shipping company in Nigeria, aside collecting the 2% of freight on all imports, will issue you a debit note where on every debit note we have what is called agency fee. And on this agency fee, it varies. The charge is 20 feet container or 40 feet container. On 20 feet container, they charge 45,000 naira and 67,000 naira, and on 40 feet container. We also have what is called cleaning charges, where they charge nothing less than 3,000 naira per 40 feet container. I will take it on 40 feet container so that you understand what I'm saying. After that, they charge what is called mocha, which is 500 naira per every 40 feet container, and they charge 3,000 naira as documentation charges. And they also have their demorages, which ranges from first period, second period, and third period. Virtually all the shipping companies in Nigeria will give you 7 days free period, after which your cargo attracts demurrage. And this is how it is done. On first period, after the expiration of the 7 days free period, you are charged 2,850 naira for 40-footer, for every 40-footer container. And second period, you are charged 3,750 naira. And third period, you are charged 6,300 naira. After this, you are also charged what is called container deposit refund. Container deposit was actually introduced about 4 years ago when shipping companies and various shipping lines complained that some importers and agents don't return their empty containers. After much deliberation, the issue of container deposit was actually slammed on Nigeria. And as I tell you, on every 40-footer container, they charge 150,000 naira for any container that is staying locally. When I say locally, I mean within Lagos and its environment. Any container that is going outside Lagos, they charge minimum of 300,000 naira per every 40-footer container. If you compute all these charges on every consignment that comes to Nigeria, say a 40-footer container, you realize that on every 40-footer container, you pay nothing less than 350 to 390,000 naira as shipping company charges, which is equivalent to nothing less than $2,600 or $3,000, as the case may be. The question now arises: the shipping agents in Nigeria, after an importer or a consignee must have paid his freight abroad, minimum of say $4,000 to $5,000, still charge about 400,000 naira, which is equivalent to about $2,000 to $2,600. The question now is, what is the role of every shipping agent in Nigeria? Why these heavy charges on Nigerian cargo? I remember various stakeholders, licensed custom agents, freight forwarders do complain seriously about this very astronomical charges. And if you conduct what is happening in our sub-region, you realize that Cotonou Port, Lomé Port have what a very relatively low charges, particularly when it comes to area of shipping company charges. We actually went out to inquire from our members what is their opinion about this issue of shipping company charges. Please hear from them.
When you look at the terminal charges compared with the shipping charges, you will discover that it's interwoven. You know, for instance, the terminal charges, the shipping company, they will collect, they have what they call handling charges on a particular consignment. Okay, let me use this my notebook as an example. When you import this notebook, after the custom duty has been paid, you will now go to shipping company for their release. They will charge you for their handling charges. They will charge you for their maintenance charges. They will charge you for documentation charges. Then they will now charge you for demurrage. If it warrants demurrage, that is maybe after 3 days. They will now charge you for VAT. That is shipping company. Then when you now get back to, when you now release it from the shipping company, now to the terminal operator, they will charge you the same thing. The terminal operator will charge you the terminal handling charges. They will charge you custom examination charges. What is the meaning of custom examination charges? And they will now charge you labor. And at the same time, this labor we are talking about, there is no how you perform any examination in any terminal. We still have a labor that you need to settle, though it's not receipted. But if you don't give them that money, your container won't be examined. And if at all, if the container is being examined, they will not close the container. So it's I can call it a direct duping again, because the terminal operators, they have given you they already charge labor operational fees in their tariff. is there already. But when you are now performing that examination on that the same consignment, you will still pay labor. That is number one. And they will still collect VAT. On every debit note, they will issue a VAT. And we have something we call a container deposit charged by shipping company. In any consignment, they will collect their container deposit added with VAT. And when they want to return that deposit back to the importer, they will deduct VAT again, which means double taxation on VAT, which I was expecting the freight regulatory body to discuss about it, because this is a...
Welcome back. That is all we have on shipping company charges. But before I round up, I need to inform you that after all these charges must have been paid by a freight forwarding agent or a licensed custom agent, some shipping companies have also devised another means of exploiting or extorting Nigerians, which is what they call revalidation of DO. What is not done in the industry is that some categories of shipping companies have actually come up with what is called giving expiry life to a delivery order. A DO is a delivery order issued by a shipping company, which is tantamount to the fact that the cargo has been released to the agent. Now what is done is that after the expiration of the DO, you are made, or it is compulsory now for every agent to now go back and collect another debit note, pay, and they now issue you a new delivery order. The question now is that the practice in the maritime industry? Has it been be how a DO will be given a kind of expiry life? Well, that is alien to me, and I'm hearing it for the first time. But the various associations, be it Association of Nigerian Licensed Customs, NAGAV, have actually challenged this revalidation of DO. And I'm sure very soon you hear from them the outcome of how it has gone on this issue of revalidation of DO. And I'm very sure the federal government of Nigeria is going to do something about ensuring that our shipping company charges is either reduced or reviewed. Terminal operator charges. Before the advent of the terminal operators, we all know that Nigerian Port Authority was actually the custodian of all these goods. About 4 or 5 years ago, before BPE, Bureau of Public Enterprises, actually came and concessioned our port. The issue of concession of our port is not different from partitioning of Africa by the Europeans. Because if you look at the way the port was actually concessioned, it actually looks like partitioning of Africa. However, that is not why we are here today. We only want to analyze and mirror what happens in the terminal operator charges. Before then, during the era of MPA, I remember vividly that Nigerian importers do enjoy 7 days free period before your cargo will attract anything called rent and storage. At this junction, let me explain what I'm trying to say. The shipping company charges on demorages, while the various terminal operators or MPA era, what they charged them was rent and storage. After the various port was actually sold or concession, the terminal operators now charge rent and storage. And before then, before I take you to the rent and storage, there are two systems which BP brought to us. The first one was called BOT, which is build, own and transfer. BOT is a system where foreigners are allowed to actually build a terminal, own it for a period of 10, 20 or 25 years, as the case may be, or as it is written in the Memorandum of Understanding. Then you now transfer it at the expiration of the period back to Nigerian government. The other one is the lease agreement. The lease agreement is a situation where the existing terminals will be leased out to multinational or people who actually bidded for it. However, there is need for us to look at the various terminal charges, how it is done. When they took over, the port concessionaires, they reduced the free period from 7 days to 3 days. That is understandable because we all know that every investor is actually investing to make money. However, the issue of terminal operator charges needs to be analyzed, challenged, criticized as the case may be, because it looks as if it becomes a marriage, a situation where we are trying to reduce and review it, and on a daily basis it's actually going up. The first thing the shipping company does, or the terminal operators, I beg your pardon, do on their terminal handling charges debit note, if you study vividly, is that they charge what is called customs examination. On every 40-footer container, these various terminal operators charge 3,000 naira per 40-footer container, and they charge what is called VEP or tally, which is about 350 naira per 40-footer container, and documentation charges, which is not less than 2,500 naira per 40-footer container. After that, they charge what is called terminal delivery order. Terminal delivery charges ranges from one terminal operator to the other, but the least of it is about 62,000 naira per 1 by 40-footer container. And upon all, after the expiration of your grace period, which is after the expiration of 3 days, your container or your cargo begins to accumulate rent and storage, which is the first period attracts about 1,500 naira per day per container. The second period, which is after the expiration of the first period, which is 7 days, after that you now have another 3,000 naira per day per container. And the third period is 8,000 naira per day per container. If you sum up all these things, you realize that before a cargo is actually taken to the consignee's warehouses or houses or environment or wherever, a cargo must have paid nothing less than 92,000 naira per 40-footer container to terminal operators. We now ask questions. What is the difference between terminal operators and shipping companies? There's need for us to highlight this so that Nigerians will know what is actually happening. Shipping companies are actually the shipping agent representative that brought this consignment from abroad. It is the duty of the shipping company to release your cargo or container to your shipping representative, which is your client agent. After this is done, they now release such cargo and give you delivery order before you now go to the custodian of the goods, who is the terminal operator, and he does release the cargo to you. And before this is done, there's what is called issuance of terminal delivery order. The terminal delivery order allows a client agent to go and load his or her consignment out of the port. But if you compute all these charges, you realize that our port seems to be one of the most expensive in cargo clearance. And invariably, by implication, if you compute this, it's going to affect the economy vis-a-vis the fact that when you release a cargo and the importer realizes that what he uses in clearing such consignment is becoming too expensive, what he or she does is to transfer these charges to the final consumer. And who is the final consumer? The final consumer is every Nigerian, that is you and I. However, studying the various terminal operators' debit notes on a closer look, I noticed that they charge VAT. VAT is value-added charges. However, the way and manner this VAT is being charged, to me, looks wrong or illegal. When I say illegal, what is VAT? VAT is value-added charges. Ideally, the various terminal operators are supposed to charge their VAT on the demorages or rent and storage that accrue on every cargo. But in a situation where you compute everything together, the terminal handling charges, the custom examination, you sum it up and give Nigerians 5% of it, it becomes too astronomical. Well, we shall leave that to federal government to analyze and address this issue before it gets out of hand. We should also use this medium to actually commend the various importers who are bringing in cargoes into our waterways. They are patriotic Nigerians because they have options. And what is the option? The neighboring countries. But we do want a situation where the federal government will actually analyze these various charges that is actually transferred on shipping company charges and terminal operator charges, so that there will be a solution at the end of the day and there will be eureka. Our team went out to hear from various licensed custom agents how it affects their operations and what is their view as per the various terminal handling charges in Nigeria. And this is what they have to say.
We clearing agents and the shippers or the importers, we are not happy with the present increment in shipping charges. And I will use this opportunity to appeal to federal government to do something about it.
The acronym high charges or increase in charges in shipping company is a very, very distasteful one to any person in this maritime industry, because actually the concessionaire agreement they had before they concessioned these places to them, that agreement does not allow them to increase costs arbitrarily without taking the cost stakeholders along.
Welcome back. In conclusion of today's episode of portsgistontv, just when Nigerians are clamoring that there should be a review downward on our port charges and shipping company charges, surprisingly, the Managing Director of Nigerian Port Authority recently, precisely on the 6th of April, gave tacit approval to the various port operators that they should review their various terminal charges, which by implication means that very soon in the next few weeks we are likely to experience increase in the various terminal handling charges in Nigerian seaport. You can see the contradiction when Nigerians are actually saying there's need for us to review our various terminal charges downward so that the various charges, particularly the clearance of goods in our seaport, will be reduced. An approval has been given to the various terminal operators. Whether through the front door or back door, nobody knows. But I do know that this approval was actually signed by the Managing Director of MPA himself. And in addition, column B of the approval gave them power to increase their various terminal handling charges by 20% every year. Meaning that what you have this year, there's going to be another 20% increase by 2012. The question now is, where are we going on this issue of various terminal handling charges and shipping company charges? That is why there's need for us to have a kind of town hall meeting in the maritime sector, where the various Minister of Transport, Minister of Finance, and even the Managing Director of MPA and the various terminal operators and shipping companies will tell us what should be done, how we can achieve perfection, particularly how these various charges, whether shipping company or terminal handling charges, will be reduced. Well, this is how far we can go on this week's episode of portsgistontv, because our time is short, we all know. But you can reach us on our email address portsgistontv@yahoo.com. Stay tuned next week, same time, same station.
Present